Hello and welcome. It's Irene Riad here, founder of Site Set and co-author with the legend Brian Tracy in the upcoming book, Radical Becoming. I am beyond thrilled to be speaking with a true legend today, Brian Tracy. For over 40 years, Brian has been at the forefront of personal development, leadership, and business success. He's a renowned speaker, author of over 80 books, and has personally coached and trained over 5 million people worldwide. His work has impacted countless leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals globally, helping them achieve extraordinary results. Brian, it's such an honor to have you with us, and I'm so glad we have this opportunity to share a chat with you.
Well, Irene, I'm so happy to be working with you and with the wonderful work that you do. It's a real pleasure and honor because you're basically carrying the torch into the next generation, helping people to unlock their potential and achieve more than they ever dreamed possible. And so I'm so happy to be a part of your growth and your development and your success. And I really encourage people to talk to you and use your services because you can help them and save them months, even years of hard work getting to the same level of success. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. I've learned a lot from the work that you're doing, and you certainly have allowed me and others to really grow on the shoulders of giants like
Yes,
you.
that's one of the smartest things you can do in life is learn from others. People who have paid the price and spent the months and the years getting to the point where they're at. And almost all of these people, like me and my books, I write how I did it, where I started at the bottom and how all the mistakes that I made, and then how I got to the top 1% of speakers in the world today. And it was just by evolution and hard work. Nothing replaces hard work, but you can learn from the experts and save yourself so much time.
Absolutely. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
You've spoken a lot around developing people, leadership and personal development.
Yes.
How would leaders start to align their identity to whom they're becoming versus looking at their past and using that as a metric for growth?
Well, there's an exercise in psychology called idealization, and that's where you think of your ideal person, your ideal life. If your life was perfect in every way, how would it be different from today? What would you do more of? What would you do less of? What would you stop doing completely? And so set really high goals for yourself. And there's an old saying, if you aim for the moon, or if you aim for the stars, you may not miss the stars, but you'll hit the moon. You'll still be vastly higher. And so I always encourage people and leaders to set goals, very clear goals. And then what is most important in leaders is that everybody understands what they are supposed to do. Everybody understands their goal, their purpose. Everybody understands how to measure their success. The biggest single complaint that people who work for companies have is not knowing what's expected. I want to do the best I can. Everybody does, but they don't know what you want. So that for your job, and my favorite word in leadership is clarity. Clarity. Clarity is to be clear about what you want for yourself and your business, and then help each other person be crystal clear about what their job is to help the company achieve its goals.
I love that. It resonates a lot with the work I do.
Yes.
Because when leaders come and engage with me on work and trying to figure out what is that legacy that they want to live,
Yes.
It ends up delving deeper into that clarity of their ideal version of who they are and what they want.
And it's interesting when you talk about motivation, when they ask people in a study that is conducted every year called A Great Place to Work, a great place to work, and they ask people who describe their company as a great place, why do you say this? And they said, because I always knew what they wanted me to do. I always knew what was expected and how it would be measured. And they were happy and had energy and they were productive and creative and so on. So the first thing that a leader can do is determine his or her goals for the organization and then help each person understand exactly the contribution they're expected to make. And then everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you teach this and you preach this. I mean, this is one of your claims to fame in as a consultant and as a teacher. And it's always important. And with things changing as rapidly as they are, you could be perfectly clear on Friday about your goals and measures and everything else. And on Monday, something could happen, and you have to go back to the drawing boards and reassess them. The biggest weakness, by the way, that in terms of reassessing goals is the comfort zone. People become comfortable doing things in a certain way, and even if it's not working, they insist on continuing to do the same thing. And it takes a lot of courage. And one of the things that Winston Churchill says is that courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues because upon it all others depend. So the quality of leaders that is most important is the courage to change when it's necessary and to change quickly. I've studied military leadership and great generals, and it's amazing. They start off with a plan, and they say that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Mike Tyson said that everybody goes into a fight with a plan until they get hit in the face the first time. Well, the thing is that you have a plan and you start off, and immediately reality will hit you in the face. Now, the question is, what do you do? Great leaders quickly bounce back and change direction and try something else that's different. And as a result, they win great battles. Whereas weak leaders insist on continuing their same plan, and they lose the battles and they lose the wars. So if you want to be a great leader, the word is flexibility. Flexibility, flexibility. Be open to change. Be willing to change as circumstances change.
Absolutely. And indeed, in the coaching work and the teaching work that I do with leaders, it's really giving that challenge and support, helping them recognize when it's time to step out of that comfort zone, and when it's time to pivot, be flexible, and adapt to new circumstances.
Yes. Like military leaders say, victory is the only concern that they have. So they will change anything that's necessary to win, to be victorious. Leaders have to do the same thing. They have to look upon the world of business as a world at war. I mean, you are fighting for the customer dollar. You are competing with all the other companies that want the customer to buy their product. You can imagine that all of the competitors are saying, buy me, buy mine. And so you have to be better, you have to be superior to your competitors, basically in three ways. One main way and two minor ways. But it must be clear to your customers that what you offer is superior in an important way to them. And so I've done years and years of work in marketing, and we find that the number one reason that companies fail is that customers don't understand why they should buy from them. They're not clear because the company's not making it clear. So if you could say, what one quality about your product or service makes you better and more desirable than any competitor that you have? What is the one quality that you have? Jack Welch said, if you don't have competitive advantage, something that's better, don't compete. If you must be number one or number two in your market, or get out of the market and find a market where you can be number one or number two. Many companies make the mistake of going after the wrong customer, but they don't have a competitive advantage that is attractive enough for the customer to buy from them. So what they need to do is shift customers. And many companies have become superstores by simply changing their focus and aiming at customers that really value what they bring to the market that nobody else has.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brian. You've shared such tremendous value to the audience and to me personally all the time.
Well, Irene, I thank you. What you're doing is so important. You can basically save companies. You can save people's executive or business lives. You can help people generate more revenues faster than ever before. So what you do is really important, and I thank you for taking some of my ideas and using them. But what happens is when you take an idea, the first time you use it, you can say, I learned this from Brian Tracy. The second time you use it, you say, as I was saying. And then the third time you say, as I've always said. So
Absolutely.
you take it and you make it your own. And then with your clients, they make it their own as well.
Absolutely.
So, Irene, in your book, Radical Becoming, you talk about the mosaic process. Well, what inspired you to use this, and what difference does it make when your clients practice the mosaic process in their work?
Yeah, so very similar to what you've shared prior, that leaders that are able to do it and succeed in the market are ones that adapt.
Yes.
In my journey of leadership, I was looking at how successful leaders are doing that with depth, are able to actually adapt in a sustainable way,
Yes.
not for a short time and then they go back into their old habits.
Yes.
And what I found is that the mosaic is a system or a framework that I look at things from 7 different dimensions.
Wow.
The first one being how are they thinking, which is the mind, the
Yes.
M in mosaic. The O is around how is the body, where you said courage, how is the body able to respond or act in a way that is actually aligned to what they want. And that kind of takes courage out of the comfort zone. So the O is around that body or the operating system. And then how do they align it to their soul, that spiritual element? And I bring that to leadership and corporate because I find it's missing piece, and it is what connects them to their purpose, to what aligns them to a higher goal.
Yes. Well, it's interesting that you say that. My daughter-in-law just attended a 3-day intensive seminar at Esalen, north of Los Angeles. And I asked her, what did you learn in these 3 days? And she was going back and forth. And finally she said that you need to listen to your body when you are making decisions because your body has an intelligence of its own. Your mind has a certain type of intelligence. And so I said, what you mean is trust your gut. Trust your gut. And what I've taught and what I've discovered is that if you listen to your heart, if you listen to your stomach, it will always give you the right answer. It will always be the thing that's right for you. So if ever you're in a situation where you're not comfortable, you're not happy with what's going on, trust your gut. Listen to your body. Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. That sounds like that's what you teach in the mosaic process.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's what the top people in the world are teaching today, and what the top people in the world are practicing. That's really good. Now,
Yeah.
our listeners are very practical, so they like theory. Theory's good, but can you give us a specific example of someone that you've worked with that has practiced this process and the before and after of what happened?
Absolutely. It comes to mind a specific person. He's actually a VP of finance in a big energy company.
Yes.
So very successful, ambitious gentleman.
Yes.
And when he approached me, the struggle that he had was frustration in being able to manage his ability to manage his emotions or be able to communicate in a way that portrays care versus assertiveness. So this management of how emotions come out of him.
Yes.
And it was working with helping him become aware what happens in his body was
Yes.
part of the work. What starts to make sense in his body: heart palpitations,
Yes.
hands sweating, not being able to speak in initially. So prior, it would come out in a very aggressive way, and people would be scared of him,
Yes.
although he had a big heart and he had big goals. And it was a process of helping his mind think about what's the story that's coming. What
Yes.
is he able to put language around? So that took a process of helping him notice what is the narrative that is coming at that moment when his emotions are bubbling up.
Yes.
And at the same time sensing, is the heart palpitating
Yes.
hard, fast, what's coming from the gut or not, because I find a lot of leaders may not listen, and it takes them time to listen to what could be surfacing in the body.
Yes.
Even back pain, shoulder pain, all of that are little indications.
Yes.
And so helping the leader reflect, using that muscle of reflection, connecting the mind and the body. And the heart is usually where the purpose, sometimes very soft voice,
Yes.
but it's the purpose that keeps us going or wanting to do greater. And that alignment is part of the mosaic framework. How is it aligned to who he wanted to be? And towards the end, he was able to pause, put some seconds between his response to certain situations that trigger him, and noticing what triggers earlier, before he's able to act in a way that meaningful for his communication.
Well, that is wonderful. One of the things that I teach is that trust is the most important thing between the leader and the led. Is the employees must trust their boss, just like I remember the battle histories of Alexander the Great, and he went into battle, major battles with greatly outnumbered, sometimes 4 or 5 to 1, and won every battle, never lost a battle. And his men trusted him completely, and they followed his lead, and he was a great leader. He would change battle plans in the middle of a battle, and they would all follow him. Now, one of the things that I learned in modern days is that the way that you build trust is by asking questions. And the person who asks questions has control. The person who asks questions, listening builds trust. So instead of talking, you ask questions. And one of the most important questions is, why are you on the payroll? Why do you think you're on the payroll? Please write down the things that you do in what you consider the order of importance, and then ask them questions about that. And people learn much more by asking questions, and you're asking them questions, than they do by any kind of delivery or lecture or anything else. So you can actually be a great manager just simply by asking people questions and then concluding and always praising people, always encouraging people, always telling people how good they are.
Yeah.
I remember when IBM got into a lot of trouble in the 80s, and they brought in a new president. And the new president found that the sales people, the sales force, had been denigrated. They were secondary. And before that, they'd always been the most important people in the company. So he came in, he said, we're changing this completely. We're going to get the salespeople motivated and back out there selling. And so he called the major sales force all together, and he said, I'm the new president. He said, I don't know anything about computers, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Sales eats first. From now on, the salespeople are the most important people in this company. And then he changed the commission structure and the reward structure and everything else. And IBM went from 1.3 billion in losses to 1.3 billion in profits in 1 year. And the company has been a great company ever since. But I always remember, sales eats first. Well, what you do with your employees is they eat first. They're the most important people in the company, and you treat them like that.
Thank you so much again, Brian, for sharing all your wisdom and your valuable insights to our audience. It's really appreciated.
Well, thank you. And You are doing wonderful work in the world. You are helping people so much in their careers, in their income, saving them weeks, months, years of hard work. So what you're doing is really important, and thank you.
And for those listening today, please click on the links below. You will see the link to our book, co-authored with Brian Tracy, Radical Becoming, and other links to get in touch with myself or Brian Tracy. Brian, it's been a privilege that you are here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Irene.